Well, we're running anyway.
We're running now. Perfect. Another live stream. We are back after
Some
a
time.
few, some time where some
Some time.
things happened. It's been a wild few weeks, but finally getting back to these weekly lives, and we've got a lot of really cool, fun things to share. First off, if you're new here, my name is Dave,
And I'm Gabby.
and we are from Print Design Academy. Literally, when we turned like looked in the camera, like, is matching shirts dorky or cool? So we don't really know yet, but either way, here we are.
The
Below.
comment- Oh,
So basically, what we are going to go through today is we've been working on a lot of really cool collaborations, kind of behind the scenes as all collaborations start, and they're going to be coming live and like more public and stuff real soon here. Just trying to get live chat there.
real
A little rusty
Yeah.
here.
Like, what are we doing?
But essentially, this collaboration involves four different parties.
Yep.
There's us, Lincoln Design Co., Glenmore Custom Print and Packaging, and Domtar. So that dream team worked really hard to put some awesome education materials and collector things together for you, the designers or creative directors who want to learn more about print and packaging design and have these like tools to do so. So I thought we'd just kind of like talk about how this all came to be and then really like do a little show and tell. We got some cool things to show, some stories to share about the press checks and how those went.
Right.
And it was a journey.
It was yeah, it was a Lord of the Rings.
It was a trek.
It
It
was
was like 2 full days, basically doing press checks and yeah, learning cold foil, learning file
Everything,
setup for
yeah.
cold foil, what works and what doesn't, and all kinds of things like that. So first up, Domtar reached out to us in the summer, probably like August, early August, maybe even earlier,
I don't know. Yeah,
and
something like
said,
that.
"Hey, we got our Paper Matters magazine." Ding. Sorry, I didn't mean to cover your face.
Yeah, right. Just kidding.
And the whole theme of this issue for fall and winter is education. Now, because we're out there teaching graphic designers and in-house design teams all about print and packaging design, they thought, hey, let's chat with these young folks and see what they got going on. So that's how we ended up, and that's how it started. And through some conversations with Meredith over at Domtar, and Meredith, if you see this, you are amazing to work with. We just sort of went back and forth on some cool ideas and things that we could do that reach beyond just an article about us. Because at the end of the day, we want designers to learn something from what we're doing. So an article about Print Design Academy and how cool we are didn't like it's great, but it didn't accomplish like our goal of teaching
Yeah.
something. So through that conversation and back and forth, Meredith came up with the idea of like, hey, why don't you guys design something that gets like a removable teaching piece that we can tuck into the magazine, and everybody who gets a magazine gets one of those. Like, that's perfect. That's such a cool idea. So first, the article. We'll just give you a quick little look at it, and we'll also put the link in. If you're watching this replay, we'll share the link to subscribe to Domtar Paper Matters.
Yeah.
So you can see that. But here it is, page 16. If you do get the issue, school is now in session. So cool little article about us. Look at the photo, eh?
We're so fun.
Yeah. We posed, went to the studio. My wife was the photographer. It was just like A1. It was cool. It was fun. And inside, you will find this. It's backwards for you, probably. But it says, what is cold foil?
Yeah.
Is it backwards?
I don't know. Like I thought, did we flip it?
I don't remember. I'm not going to fuss with it now.
Yeah. Well.
What is cold foil is what that says. And if you put a mirror up to your screen, you'll be able to read that properly. And it basically gives you a little introduction to what cold foil is if you've never heard of it, and kind of alludes to what else is going on with this Yeti guy up in the corner here. More on that shortly. So on the back side then, here's your collaborators in this thing. Lincoln Design Co., Print Design Academy, Domtar, and Glenmore Custom Print and Packaging, the Cold Foil Masters. And the whole core idea of this piece was, let's take an awesome illustration or a piece of artwork, put cold foil to it to really show what cold foil can do, and then make the whole thing teaching about what cold foil is, how it works, and all of that kind of stuff. And so the other side of the inside or back side of this thing
Yeah.
is the separations. And designers love this kind of stuff, the specs and separations, showing you the foil layer, the different CMYK separations that all went in to bringing this guy to life.
Hey. Look at that sheen.
You're always grinding Yeti. Look at the light hitting the foil areas. So this guy, like when you hold this thing in person, he just jumps off of the page. It looks so good. So Lincoln Design Co. provided the illustration. We took that. Well, you can talk to the file things in a second here.
Yeah.
But basically, it was a learning curve to just get this artwork ready for cold foil, and more importantly, the cold foil testing that Glenmore wanted to do.
Mhm.
And James at Glenmore was super eager to like, hey, let's try some cold foil on this, because the Cougar paper from Domtar has such a smooth surface, even though it's uncoated, that it works great with cold foil.
Yeah.
Typically, cold foil is like your gloss papers, your matte, but your coated papers, just because it's a naturally smoother surface. When you get into uncoated, things get a little dicey, but
Yeah.
it's opened the door for us.
For the TT part of that, because adhesives and things like that, like anytime you're using an uncoated, it's just like a sponge. So that's why we use a coated surface. So it's shiny. You can like stick stuff to it, layer it up a little bit simpler. But because this one is so compressed and smooth, you can get away with a little bit of that foil adhesive-y things.
So Gabby, tell us a short story about this file. About the file work side of things, and then we'll show some press sheets and some show and tell stuff.
Yeah, so definitely a new territory. I mean, we've talked about cold foil window and things, but then when you get into having to layer it all up, different ball game. But it started out with, so the illustration was provided, and it was black and white. It was in Photoshop. It's a rastered image, because Photoshop paintings.
It's
all
like a
that good
screen
stuff.
print shirt graphic.
Yeah,
Right?
ready to go that way. And I knew I needed to, well, part of it was we were wanting to experiment and play with the colors and everything. And then secondary is just naturally, we wanted to make sure that, when you're printing stuff, you want to have those layers and the different colors of the cold foil, and trying to figure out the best way to create separations in a raster image. Yeah, so it was a little bit of a a journey in figuring that out, and taking each part of the Yeti and creating different masks for, from this black and white image, and doing like different masks for, okay, I'm gonna mask just the hat, I'll mask just the trees, let's get the shoes, let's get his body, let's like, what are we doing with the type here? So just to figure out what those different layers were, so that we could assign colors to them to see what the final outcome that we liked the most. We played with just black and white with some hints of copper. We played with like different trees, the different greens, the blues. Do we want these with foil or not, right? Because you have the different layers. In order to create the foil, you lay down an adhesive, and then that cold foil in press comes off the roll and will stick to wherever you print it. So yeah, so we were able to play with like different things. And then when you have a metallic involved and you're dealing with the silver that goes down, so the silver's that's the foil, and then everything is printed on top of it. So this is an orange that makes it look like a copper, because the silver turns it a bit more like deeper and whatever. Yeah, then you got different color codes that you need for that. Like something that's going to look flat CMYK might look too dark when you get it onto the foil with the gray as a substitute. So anyway, yeah, it was long hours of just test sheets and things, and masking and drawing stuff. And actually, I realized our things are over there, our original breakdown.
Well, are they?
Yeah, I'll go see if I can grab them.
Yeah, we literally printed off like 7 or 8 different, just trying to keep track of the different variations and versions that we wanted to test. And big props to Glenmore, because they wanted this to look so good that they said, hey, let's do a bunch of different versions as tests.
Yeah.
So this is our guide or cheat sheet or whatever for these different versions.
Yeah, we were trying to see, because so it sort of started with, I mean, you can kind of see, but yeah, this was like the black and white version of it, right? Just, it was straight black and white. So we were like, okay, do we want a lighter copper, a darker copper, a gradient of foil? Because it's cold foil, you can do halftone, because the adhesives and things can go so fine and precise that you can literally halftone and scale back. So it's like 50% shiny and stuff, right? And we really basically just love to torture ourselves.
That is an accurate way to describe it. Yeah.
For the greater good of print and creativity. But yeah, so we were playing with this, what areas we want, and it was just papers and papers, and you have to print everything to see how it's going to turn out. So we did our little paper mock-ups all taped together for the insides.
All different like taped elements
Yeah.
and pieces as we were working on the design.
Totally. So anyway, that's that.
That's cool. I definitely want to keep
Yeah.
these because it's part of that process. Yeah, it was a lot. So we printed out all these different versions and really mocked up, okay, what are we going to foil? What's going to be in color? What are we going to do in foil? But what are we going to leave as foil
Yeah.
without printing on top of it?
Especially with it being, I mean, we say, and props to Glenmore really for calling out that the Cougar works well for this type of thing. I mean, it still is a tedious process in general, but yeah, so for them to go out, it was still a slightly new territory of, okay, we know sort of what cold foil is on its baseline, but now just seeing how it's going to work with the Cougar and the uncoated version of it. And yeah, it was cool, like the differences between the different weights of paper as well, and seeing the little bit of the grain come through kind of creates a cool texture on some of this stuff. And anyway, there was just a lot of nuance in it. It was lots of hours of
hours of testing.
Doing stuff, but it came out really cool.
Once we nailed down the different versions that we wanted to do, we sent the files into Glenmore.
Yep.
And big props to Gabby because there was like almost no edits from files being supplied into prepress. Prepress kind of went like, I know exactly what's going on here. Happy days. And so that was cool.
That was actually really cool because you never know. Like you're teaching this stuff to people, and then you're wondering like, am I a fraud? Do I know how to do anything?
Imposter syndrome. But it's also something so much more complex than just like a CMYK project.
Yeah.
There's all this other complexity to it. Do you want to grab the two test sheets right there? So from those printed out versions where we highlighted a bunch of stuff, we ended up with two different press sheets that were test sheets. So this is the first one. And you can basically see all the different variations. This was kind of close to where we ended up, but not quite.
Yeah.
And you can even see in the background of this one, there's different blocks of different gradients of foil together. It's okay. That shows up good.
Okay.
So then this one was, no color, just copper. I'm playing with that. And I'm kind of losing some focus. But yeah, so then we coppered the bowl here. And then on this version, we just like left a lot of things as just silver. Or shoes and maybe so really just playing around with that with black backgrounds. And then on the other sheet here was starting to play around with more colors and lighter backgrounds to see how that would look.
Yeah, that you can see that's just straight silver there. Yeah.
We were experimenting with the tree. This bottom corner one here. Like, do we do just the edges of the trees?
Yeah, you can see that in there.
Yeah, it comes out really clear on camera actually.
Nice.
And then we were doing like foil test charts to see how that would look and turn out, different separations, different parts in foil. So really just we're given permission by the Glenmore team to just run with it and experiment. And that would help us sort of come up with the final version that just looks amazing.
And learning for all of us involved, right? For next time to know what it takes to get there.
So I'm going to pull up just an image here. Once we had all these test prints, we were in the Glenmore boardroom and literally with scissors, cutting out different elements, different headers, different trees, different logos along the bottom. And you can see that in here. You got a tree here in foil that we wanted to see, and just sort of like literally cut and pasting, trying to build the final version and what it looked like. And we decided
old school Photoshop.
Old school.
I mean, that's how it was done, right? You take a photo and you put it together in the darkroom. So that's what we were doing. Basically.
Exactly. We were doing the old school way, and we almost like we were about to send in the file and where we had basically the final version, but we also had the trees in foil.
Yeah. And then I pulled back the, I wanted the face and the hands to not be as well too, because we had the whole thing. So it was just like trying to create a little bit of difference in it all. So
So this is the final version. On cardstock because we did some collectible posters as well as the teaching piece. And we were about to send in the files with foil on these trees.
Mhm.
But we've sort of made literally a last second call of like, let's pull the foil off the trees
Yeah.
because it would just start pulling away from the foiled Yeti.
Yeah. Next to it.
And it's this fine balance that where you have too much foil going on, and it's just distracting and pulls things away.
Yeah.
But you also want to really execute as much foil as you can to bring things to life,
Mhm.
right? So it's this really fine balance of too much but not enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, so one final glimpse of where we ended up.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see it's just sort of. I know. I still am like. I feel like that's a good call. But I wanted the fur to feel like luminous and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, the hands and all this stuff kind of coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
It's
you
cool.
never know. There's a million ways.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm an overthinker, so I'll be like, should we have done this?
Should
Should
we
we
have-
do this? But
Yeah, it
I'm
looks
happy about
awesome.
it. Yeah.
And then we were able to go down to Vancouver, Washington, and reveal the printed result to the Lincoln Design Co team of their illustration and really what we did. And
Yeah.
big props to them for giving us kind of creative freedom with their artwork.
Very much freedom. I mean, just the two. I mean, that was part of the process for me. I'm like, I have this Lincoln illustration in my hands on my little 16-inch in the basement here, this MacBook, and I'm working on it. I'm like, trying to make a few little executive decisions and coloring, and I'm like changing a little bit of the text things. I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope it's okay,
Yeah.
But they really did and then we showed up and it was fine. So
Mhm.
total freedom to run with it, which was scary but
Yeah.
also cool.
Yeah, so big props to Dan and the
Yeah,
Lincoln Design Co team
appreciate
for
it.
really empowering us and trusting us with
Yeah.
their artwork and their
Mhm.
their creative, their brand essentially,
Yeah,
of like what we're
literally,
playing
it
with.
is. It's their thing.
So yeah, so that was really fun. So we did a cardstock poster version that Lincoln is going to put up in their store in the future, I think. And then we also did some for Domtar to give away at events and sort of collector cool pieces. They actually had a limited quantity that they gave away at Design Thinkers in Toronto.
Oh, nice.
And there was literally only 10 of them, I think, out of the whole
cool.
crowd.
Wow.
So they gave a few of those away. So
Love
some
it.
lucky recipients got
Wow.
that. And we also did this text teaching version that is in all of the Paper Matters magazines.
Yep, it'll just be gee, wow, a little blown in there. So it'll just be one of those things that pops out.
Naturally flop to it.
Yeah.
And
So-
yeah, a little article in there about us and how we're teaching creative teams all about print design, printed packaging design, and
Totally.
helping train their design teams.
Yeah, there's some other just interesting articles in here on why print
That's true.
exists.
I didn't mean to make it seem like it was all about us. It wasn't. There's a lot of
It's
great
okay, it's why I'm
content
here,
in here.
Dave.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
Pick that
But
up.
yeah, no, like some cool stuff about just like different generations, how they experience print. And then just different things to learn. So all about educating and why print is awesome, why paper matters. So super cool. And you can grab that we'll put the link in to get it to their.
Yeah, I don't know the right setup here to just like throw the link up on the screen for you to click on. But if you just Google Domtar Paper Matters, it'll take you right there. You can subscribe, hopefully get your hands on a issue of this with our collectible poster inside, our teaching piece inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun journey. So thank you to Domtar for reaching out to us and sharing this opportunity with us and really standing behind us on the creative direction that we wanted to go with this teaching piece and sort of again, backing us on the mission of really teaching designers all about print and packaging design.
Yeah, no, it was really great. And I mean, not to backtrack a little bit, but even that process for us working with someone like Domtar,
Glad you brought that.
larger companies, corporations, which is the thing for every designer anyway, right? Like any designer, any marketing team, you're trying to work with another industry and trying to understand their needs. So some of the original illustrations we had some symbols, some symbolism that we wouldn't even think about really, but like that was really important to like, well, this kind of gives an odd message, or it's like maybe a little more negative connotated. We're like, oh my gosh, had no idea.
Yeah. If you know like Lincoln's style, they do a lot of really cool and it's oftentimes like described as edgy kind of
it's very,
illustrations
like, punk
with
and skate
skulls and like
culture,
punk and skate culture and like fun like what's the president? President Lincoln, like
Lincoln
obviously
Dave.
President Lincoln illustrations. I was like what's his first name? That's what I was trying to-
Abraham.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So the first illustrations that were supplied by Lincoln for this collaboration, the first one was like a tree stump with like smoke going up and a skull with a third eye
Yeah,
and like
and the
crossed
axe.
axis and
Yeah.
stuff. And when I first saw it, because like as part of this collaboration, you're sharing creative, you're sharing ideas between all four parties.
Mhm.
And I sent the image to Domtar and I said, hey, first draft on the illustration, what do you think? And in my head, I was like, skull, third eye. They won't go for it.
Yeah, a bit too like precise or whatever,
And
right?
credit to them, they sort of came back with like, our customers are doing everything you can imagine,
Mhm.
any kind of artwork you can imagine on
Yeah.
our papers.
Yeah.
And as a corporation, they have to ride this balance of putting out things that, aren't in the corporation's best interest, but also showing their customers like, hey, look at
We're
the kind of
cool,
things
we're
we're
fun,
cool
you
you can
know?
do. We're,
Mhm.
we're cool with the stuff that you're using our paper for, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So actually, they came back with, hey, because of the sustainable forestry messaging that they're all about,
Yeah.
and they have sustainable forestry programs, the axes and the cut trees actually didn't align with what their mission is.
Totally.
It's like, oh, I thought you were going to have a problem with the skull and
I
the
know,
third
the
eye,
skull, like,
but
the
it was
whole
the
thing, like
axes. So it's like a learning curve on our side of, different corporations and what they are looking for
yeah, just to be a
the
bit
work, marketing
more,
work that they do.
hello, like,
Trying
a
to be
little
more
bit more
conscious of that.
conscious of that, right? But, anyway, we ended up where we're at, and, yeah, it was very cool,
Yeah.
fun collaborative, all getting together and,
Yeah.
being the middleman and also the spearhead and all
Yeah.
that stuff for
It was kind of like that interaction was kind of our first like feeling of being in that like corporation trying to get the check marks and the go ahead.
yeah.
But I know like designers who are watching this and designers who are out there doing this kind of work every day in house have to look after that kind of stuff. And so it's just kind of interesting experiencing that firsthand because we've heard stories about things like that
Yeah.
where ideas get shot down because the customer or the corporation
Yeah.
doesn't align with it.
I know we've had the privilege of being working from home and like for ourselves in smaller companies, I guess too. But yeah, like so we don't think that, but it's true.
Mhm.
Like my friends who work in larger corporations in the marketing departments, like it's tough out there.
It's a tough game out there.
So we see you, we
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So if to wrap this up, to be conscious of your time, if you are an in-house designer or creative director looking after a creative team in any kind of business, whether it's insurance or banking or in a design agency, and your team needs a little bit more help on understanding print and packaging design
Yep.
and how to execute awesome print and packaging design that drives results for your company, your employer, hit us up. We're happy to help, happy to train and teach as much as we can.
Yeah.
And Paper Matters magazine.
Yes.
Get a copy of this. I don't have the link right in front of me here, but Google Paper Matters, Domtar or Domtar Paper Matters, and you'll find a way to get.
Yeah, we'll put it in the descriptions and all the stuff. And things. Yeah.
You're resourceful people. You'll find,
You have the internet at your fingertips.
You got the internet,
yep.
yep. So, and definitely get one. And if you do get one and get that training piece, that detachable collector poster about cold foil, hit us up on either LinkedIn or Instagram and let us know.
Yeah.
We want to know that you got one, and love to see it. Thanks so much. See you later.
See ya. Bye.
This one does run its course.